All right. So we're going to begin with a breathing exercise called Dirga Swasam, which is a three-part breath, which helps us find a full, complete breath using all of the accessory muscles and filling up the lungs entirely. So to begin, sit back comfortably in your chair, but sit upright so that you're supported against the back of your seat, but your spine is long and upright rather than collapsed inwards. You want to have the most amount of space created to allow your lungs to inflate. Okay, so sit tall, close your eyes, and draw your attention to your upper chest and upper back. So the space around your collarbones and your breastbone and the space around your shoulder blades. And as you breathe, think about inflating those areas. Breathing up until you feel your breath rising all the way into your collarbones and stretching the space between the shoulder blades. Concentrating on drawing the breath into the upper chest and upper back. See if you can isolate those areas. So consciously breathing just into the upper back and upper chest. Now shift your attention down a bit lower to the barrel-like structure and shape of your rib cage, and see if you can expand your rib cage like you're expanding the staves of a barrel. So breathe into your rib cage. The sides of the ribs, the fronts, the backs, expand all the way around 360 degrees. Breathing into that barrel shape. So we're isolating that movement now, not worrying about the upper chest anymore, not worrying about the upper back, but rather the more middle area of the torso, the big barrel-like structure of your rib cage. Expanding outward in all directions. And then let that go. And now draw your attention down further into your belly. Imagine that you were breathing into your abdomen, and let your belly relax and expand like a balloon as you breathe in, and gently draw in as you breathe out. So isolating the movement, the accessory muscles of breathing, as if you could breathe into your belly. So the chest is more still, the rib cage is more still, you're expanding down deep into the belly, and maybe you feel it a little bit in the low back. Can you feel as if you were puffing up your low back behind you? And then let that awareness go. Now, let's combine all three areas into a complete full breath. So we're going to breathe from the top to the bottom, the way the airflow actually fills your lungs. So deep breath in and then exhale all the way. Empty out. And now fill into your upper chest and upper back. Let it expand down into your ribs. Let it fill up into your belly. And then release from the bottom to the top. Pull the belly in. Rib cage begins to descend down towards the spine. Upper back and upper chest relax, and you're empty. Again, inhaling upper chest, down to the rib cage, expand. Into the belly, expand. And exhale, belly pulls in. Ribs draw down. breastbone releases down, and you're empty. Now release all effort, relax, breathe naturally. Now we're going to imagine that we're breathing from the bottom to the top as if you were filling a pitcher of water, opposite the actual airflow, the actual flow of the air into your lungs. So it's more of an accessory muscular movement. So empty out, and then imagine you're breathing down into your belly. So inhale, fill up the belly. Inhale into the rib cage, expand. Inhale, fill all the way up into your chest, to your collarbones, and empty out the same way, emptying the chest, and then the ribs, and then the belly, and you're empty. Fill up the same way. Belly, rib cage, chest, emptying chest and ribs and belly. Relax all efforts. Now imagine that you are breathing spherically. So your breath will start from an imaginary point in the middle of your body. Maybe the navel center is a good place to think of that beginning. And as you breathe in, imagine that breath expanding out in all directions at once, like a sphere, as big as you can. The exhale collapses everything back down to that little point deep in the center of your body. One more time like that. Inhale spherically, expanding out in all directions simultaneously. Exhaling, the sphere collapses down to a small point in the middle of your body. And then release that and breathe naturally. Go ahead and sit forward a bit on your chair now so that you're bringing your hips a little bit more towards the front edge of the chair. Sit tall. Keep your spine still and begin to stir your torso around over your hips as if you were stirring a popsicle stick in a bowl. So your spine remains rather stiff and straight. You're shifting your weight around. You may feel the shift in your sitting bones as you stir around over your pelvis. And let's reverse directions. Again, we're keeping the torso still as we stir it over the hips. The spine is straight. So no forward bend, back bend, no side bends. It's straight like a popsicle stick. And come back to center. Now we're going to begin to move the spine by thinking about the rib cage. So draw your rib cage forward out in front of you. Then draw your rib cage to the right without lifting your hips. So it's just the ribs that move to the right. And then move your rib cage out behind you towards the back of the chair. And then to the left and forward. And let's stir that around. So you're moving from the middle of your body. You could maybe even think about it as moving from your navel center. So my head is remaining fairly still over my spine, and it's just my torso that's stirring around. My spine is moving through side bends, forward bends, and back bends. Let's reverse directions. Rib cage forward, to the left, back behind you, and to the right. Forward and left, behind you and right. Stir it around. Isolate the movement as best you can. So we're learning here to discriminate movement, separating body parts from one another. Come back to center, be still, take a deep breath. Let it go. Now we're going to move from the pelvis. It will have some of the same effect on your spine, but the movement will initiate from your hips, from your pelvic girdle, rather than from the rib cage area. So Forward tilt your pelvis, which means stick your sitting bones out behind you, tip your bowl forward, like you're tipping water out the front of your pelvic bowl. That's gonna have the effect of taking a deep bend in your lumbar spine. And then we'll tilt over to the left. So I'm putting the weight in my left sitting bone. My right sitting bone is just getting light. It's lifting a little bit off the chair. Come into a reverse tilt of the pelvis. So now my tailbone's drawing forward towards my knees. My low back is flattening out and curving behind me. And then over to the right. Right sitting bone gets heavy. Left half of the pelvis lifts slightly back into a forward tilt. Tipping forward, my tush is sticking out behind me. That's the movement. Stir it around. Try to move from the pelvis. So it will have, as I said, the same effect on your spine, probably, as when you were moving through the ribs. But the initiating point of movement is different, and you may feel the weight stirring in your sit bones differently. Come back to center, reverse direction. So tip to the right sit bone, reverse tilt back behind you, tip to the left sit bone, tip your pelvis forward, and stir it around just like that. Feel the shift of weight in the sitting bones that are connecting to the seat of your chair. And come back to center. Roll your head around, free up your neck. Reverse directions. And come to center. Interlace your fingers together and notice which thumb is on top. Flip your palms around, press them forward. Breathe in, lift your arms all the way up overhead. Pause here. Press your hands to the ceiling. Draw your upper arms back by your ears as best you can, and try not to jut your front ribs forward, but instead gather the front of the rib cage back and lift straight up. So we're extending the spine from bottom to top. Take a deep breath. Press your arms out in front of you. This time curl back, hollow out your belly, round your spine. Come back up to center, relax your arms. Switch the interlacing of your hands. So now the opposite thumb will be on top. Flip your palms around, press them forward. Take a deep breath, lift the arms up, pressing strongly through the palms towards the ceiling. The arms are moving back towards your ears as best you can. Gather the front ribs in, lift up a little taller. Breathe here. Extending. One more breath. Press the hands out in front of you, hollowing out the belly, rounding your back. Come up and relax your arms. Take a breath. Let it go. Once again, interlace your hands, press your palms out in front of you. Inhale, draw the arms up tall, pressing towards the ceiling. Press down through your feet strongly. Root your feet, bend to the right. Press even more through your palms. Be sure that your left sitting bone is still on the chair. Come back to center, take a deep breath, press out to the left, root down through that right sitting bone, both feet well grounded, planted. Come back to center, release your arms, take a breath. Opposite thumb on top, interlace your fingers, press your palms forward, breathe in, lift up. This time, take a twist to your right. Turning your body, keep your hips grounded, sit bones rooted, feet rooted. Turn back to center, breathe in. Exhale, twist left. Keep both sit bones planted, both feet rooted down. Come back to center, release your arms, take a little break, maybe wiggle your shoulders out, roll them back, Roll them forward. Relax. Soften your shoulders away from your earlobes. Drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. Relax your right hand down towards the ground, or maybe you want to even hold the chair seat or chair leg for some additional stretch. Come back to center. Other side, right ear drops over, left shoulder relaxes, the arm drops down, or grab the leg or the seat for a little bit more leverage. And come back up to center. Interlace your hands, press your palms forward. Breathe in, lift up. Exhale, twist right. Stay here. Take a deep breath. Keep your twist. Hollow out your belly. Press your arms out in front of you. So we're twisting and forward bending. Come back to center. Deep breath. Twist left. Stay here for your in-breath. Exhale, press out to the left, rounding the spine, hollowing the belly. Inhale to center. Exhale, release your arms. Roll your shoulders back. Roll them forward. And now, reach your arms straight out from your sides. Roll your shoulders back. Turn your palms face up, and do this if you can from the root of the arm, as if you're trying to drag your triceps forward and draw the top of your shoulder back. So you're rolling from the shoulder joint, opening up, palms face up. Pinkies are now facing towards your chest, thumbs facing back behind you towards your back. Take a deep breath here. Sweep your arms right up by your ears. Make fists. Roll your wrists out as you begin to lower your arms back down by your sides. And let it go. Wiggle your fingers. Once again, draw your arms out straight from your shoulders. Roll back from the shoulders. Triceps wrapping forward, biceps wrapping back, thumbs move back, pinkies move forward. You might feel your shoulder blades coming together and down your back, a little bit more broadness through the chest, breadth across the collarbones. Breathe in, sweep your arms up overhead, make fists, roll the wrists the opposite direction. And release. Wiggle your fingers. Take a deep breath. And relax. Open your arms wide. That same feeling of rolling the shoulders back. This time your arms come back behind you rather than straight out. Bring them back as far as you can. Thumbs reaching back. Stretch open the chest muscles. Hopefully you feel some breadth right through, even from the biceps, across the shoulder, down through the pectoral muscles across the chest. And then give yourself a hug. Wrap your arms around. Hands reach towards your shoulder blades. You might even be able to grab the edges of your shoulder blades. Drop your head. Slight rounding of the upper back. Stretch the upper back. Notice which arm is on top. Open up. Pinkies forward, thumbs back, roll the shoulders back, open the chest, stretch across the chest, the shoulders, the biceps. Wrap it up, the opposite arm comes on top. Reach for your shoulder blades. Doesn't matter if you can't touch them, just go in that direction. Curl in, drop your head, round through the upper back. And come back up, release your arms down, shrug your shoulders up and back and down. So roll them back a few times. Now, making sure that you have plenty of space behind you, reach your arms back behind you and interlace your fingers. Elbows stay bent to begin. Roll your shoulders back. Squeeze your elbows towards each other so that the arms remain bent. The elbows are reaching towards each other. Your shoulder blades are squeezing towards each other on your back. Now, if you tend to stick your tushy out and jut your ribs forward, instead point your tailbone down towards the seat, gather your front ribs in, and back bend through the upper back rather than the low back. Now straighten your arms down towards the seat and reach them back behind you. Lift them behind you a little or a lot. You see what's available to you. Keep breathing. And again, make sure that tailbone is rooting down, low belly pulling in, front ribs drawing back so that it's not a dumping into the low back, but instead it's a movement through the shoulder blade area that's creating that lift behind you. Relax, give it a wiggle. Lean forward, hands on your knees. Remember that position we started with where the spine was kind of like a popsicle stick, nice and straight? Do that as you lean forward. Nice, long, straight spine. Now, keeping the belly in, keeping the low back long, roll your shoulders back and lift your breastbone forward and up. So you're creating a little back bend, but it's happening in the upper back. And then come up, sit tall, let it go. Take a breath. And release the breath. And again, like that. I'm going to turn sideways again so you can see it from a different view. So long, straight spine, tip forward. So it's not a rounding forward. It's not a dumping forward, but instead the spine remains straight. You tip forward slightly. Roll the shoulders back, move the breastbone forward and up. So my low back remains long. I'm not dumping into it. It's nice and long. And the back bend comes into my middle and upper back. Sit tall, relax. And now imagine that you could lift your rib cage up off of your hips, lengthening through the sides of the waist. It's a very subtle movement. You may or may not be able to see it in my body, but see if you can feel it in your own body. So rather than just allowing everything to dump down towards your seat, instead keep your sit bones rooted and begin to lengthen through the sides of the waist, lengthening through the spine, lifting the rib cage up off of the hips. From that position, pull your belly in, roll your shoulders back, lift your breastbone up. Again, the back bend comes into the upper back. The low back is remaining long and supported by your belly muscles drawing in. Come back to neutral, relax. Take a deep breath and let it go. Draw your right knee up and cup your hands around your shin. Pull the knee in tight and sit tall. So lengthen your spine, same thing again, long extended axial extension in the spine, so long line from bottom to top. And then release that foot and draw the opposite knee up, squeeze it in, long spine. And release. This time, bring the right knee up, curl it in, and curl your spine. So rounding, curling in, dropping your head towards your knee. Release that, take a breath, exhale, draw the opposite knee in, curl in and round. And release that, sit tall. Extend your right leg out in front of you, peel your toes back towards your knee, press the heel forward. Extend so much that you feel the thigh muscles engaging. Really work to straighten the knee and press the heel forward. Sit tall. Try not to round the spine. Spine remains long, leg extending. It's a firm pressure through the thigh to straighten the knee. Now keep that long extended spine, that popsicle stick shape, and tip forward, leaning forward until you feel a stretch along the back of the right leg. So you might feel it all the way from your heel, through the calf muscle, through the thigh, and up to your hip. You might only feel it in your thigh or only in your calf. Anywhere is fine. Sit tall, draw it back in, extend the opposite leg. Press out, sit tall, lengthen your spine, active press. Thigh muscles are engaging to straighten that knee and press the heel forward. So really active, you should feel like your leg is working. Tip forward, long extended spine. Try not to round through your back, but instead you're tipping from the pelvis, stretching out the back of the left leg. And come back up, draw that leg in. Support underneath the right thigh and lift the leg off the ground so that your arms are bearing the weight of the leg, and roll your ankle joint around. Circle it out. Reverse directions. And then curl your toes like you're trying to pick up a pencil. Open them up wide, point your foot down towards the ground, and flex it back, put it on the ground. Switch sides. Cup the back of your left leg, lift it off the ground, doesn't have to go very high, roll the ankle around. Roll it the other way. Curl your toes again like you're trying to grip something. Open your toes up wide, point your toes towards the ground, flex them back towards your knee, and replace the leg. Cross your right ankle above your left knee. So you can pick the leg up with your hand if you want, draw the heel over, place the leg on top of the left leg. Sit tall, flex your foot towards your knee as if you were trying to take the wrinkles out of the ankle. If you see a lot of wrinkles here at the ankle and the side of your foot, instead draw your pinky down towards the bottom knee and the inner ankle bone up towards the ceiling. Sitting tall, release that right knee towards the ground. You can give it a little pressure if that feels good. It's not necessary. If you already feel enough stretch without that pressure, you don't need to do that. And pick it up, replace it, opposite leg. Cross it over, pay attention, sit tall, pinky moving down towards the right knee, inner ankle bone moving up towards the ceiling, toes are pulling back towards your kneecap. Again, a little pressure down on the thigh or the knee if you wish, or if you feel plenty of stretch without that, just try lengthening up through the spine and imagining the knee relaxing down towards the ground. And replace that foot to the ground. Open your legs out wide. Toes pointing out on a diagonal, knees drawing right out over those toes, and drop down onto your forearms. You can even clasp your hands in front of you if you like. So you can stay here. If you feel a good stretch in your inner thighs and maybe some stretching in the spine, this might be where you want to stay. If you want to, you can take your fingertips to the ground if you're up for a little more challenge and a deeper stretch. And then if it's appropriate for you and you would like to forward bend all the way down, you could drop your torso down between your legs. You see how it feels. Go where you want to go, do what feels right and what's appropriate for your body. If you're all the way down, come up very slowly, coming back onto fingertips, lengthening the spine, moving your arms back to your thighs, and then pressing up to sit tall. Shift your heels up so that you're coming up onto the balls of your feet, the tip toes. Move your knees wide, sit tall. Slowly lower your heels down, and then once again, lift them up. Release them down. We're going to move like that a few times, up and down. Try to keep the ankles lined up in a straight line down from your knees. So in other words, you don't want to come onto the pinky sides of your feet and sickle your ankles. You don't want to push too far forward coming onto the big toes, but instead Even weight between big toes and pinky toes, ankles lifting, heels lifting and lowering in a nice straight line. One more. Release. Take your right forearm to your right thigh. Draw your left arm straight out from your shoulder. Remember what we did in the beginning where we rolled back from the shoulder joint, triceps peeling forward, biceps moving back, pinkies forward, thumbs back. Lift the arm up. Keep that relationship. Keep spinning the thumb back and the pinky forward, and then draw the arm over by the ear, trying to maintain a straight line rather than a lazy sort of scoopy arm. For today, a straight line of energy. If you're collapsing your right shoulder towards your right ear, press down into your forearm to lengthen the space between shoulder and ear on the right side. And come back up, sit tall. Left arm to left thigh. Right arm lifts up, same thing. Roll that shoulder open. So you want to spin the thumb back and the pinky forward. You're moving from the root of the arm, scooping that underarm forward, lift it up and draw it over by your ear. And again, as best you can, a straight line rather than a bent elbow. Straight elbow. Lengthen out. Press away from the left shoulder. And come back up, sit tall, draw your legs back together. Take a breath, take a break. Open your legs out wide again. This time, bring your arms into a cactus shape. Try to have your elbows up in line with your shoulders rather than down below. Right up in line with your shoulders. Sit tall. Draw your belly in. Lift up. Tall spine. Take a tip over to the right. Stay here. Try not to rest your elbow on your leg. Hover in space. Come back up to center. Take a breath. Tip left. Hover in space. Both feet well grounded. And lift back to center. Fingertips to shoulders, same thing. Lengthen up, belly in, tip over. One elbow points to the ground, the other elbow to the ceiling, and back up. Deep breath in, exhale, tip over. Come back to center, relax your arms for a moment, and then interlace your hands behind your head. Hold your head. Shoulders relax down, head is releasing back into your palms. Press through your feet, tip over to the right. Come back to center, tip over to the left. Come back to center. Keep that movement going. Be sure that you're drawing in on the belly so that you're supported as you move. Tipping to the side and lifting back up. Belly pulls in, tip to the side. Belly pulls in to help you lift. One more each side. Pull in and tip over and pull in. Relax your arms, bring your legs back together. Take a little break. Breathe. Widen your feet once again. They don't have to go quite as wide as they were. They could be a little bit narrower this time. Hands interlaced behind your head. If you can, take the opposite interlacing, the interlacing that feels a little awkward. All right, lengthen up, sit tall, belly pulling in, take a deep breath, twist to the right. Keep both feet well planted, grounded through your feet, especially the left foot. And back to center. Breathe, twist. Press through the right foot. And back to center. Back and forth a few more times. Back to center. Keep breathing. And back to center. Release your arms. Draw your legs back together. Sit back in your chair. Relax everything. Shoulders releasing. Back settling in, and just allow your breath to flow naturally. Sit tall. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh. So you're crossing all the way down the inner thighs, crossing at the knee joint. Bring your left hand outside your right knee. Bring your right hand back, wherever it lands is fine, the back of the chair, the back of the seat, and take a gentle twist, using your arms as leverage, pulling the right knee gently to the left, and at the same time, keeping the right hip firmly grounded on the chair. Move back to center, unwind that. We'll cross the opposite leg over, hand outside knee, hand to the back of the chair. Take your turn, and again, think about downward firm pressure through the hip, even as the knee moves over to the right. So you might feel this in your outer hip and glute area, your buttock, as well as your spine. You might not, it's pretty individual. And come back to center. Unwind the legs. Plant well through both feet. Open your arms out. Roll back from the shoulders, thumbs back, pinkies forward. Breathe in, sweep your arms up high overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. We'll do that a few times. Sweep them down, around, and up. Down through heart center. Again, sweep them down, roll them open, peel them up, take them through center. One more time, around and up, down through center, and this time forearms to thighs, tip forward. Gazing softly at the ground, relaxing over your thighs. Relax the shoulders away from your ears. Press up, sit tall. Soften back into your chair. Settle back. Thighs relaxed, hands resting on your thighs. Shoulders soften away from your ears. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Notice where you feel your breath. Do you tend to feel it more in one area than another? Notice that without judgment. There's no right or wrong. You may feel more movement in your belly. Or you might feel more movement in your chest. Can you feel the movement of your breath into the back of your body, pressing into the back of the chair? Soften the muscles of your face. Soften your lips, your tongue, your jaw, your throat. Relax the skin across the bridge of your nose. Relax the skin of your forehead and maybe even your scalp. Take a deep breath and let it go. Once again, sit tall, shoulders over hips, hands to heart center. Breathing in deeply. I bow to you. Thank you so much. Namaste. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Tamara.
You are very